The film begins with workers clearing a forest to build railway lines. A local shaman warns the authorities to stop the work, saying that the consequences will be worse than death, but they throw him out. Before leaving, he warns that not even God will be able to save them. That night, two workers, Dato and his friend Paimon, continue working even after their shift because of money problems. After some time, Dato feels something strange around him, and soon Paimon disappears. When Dato goes to search for him, he finds that a scary spirit has killed Paimon. Terrified, he runs away. The scene then shifts to a railway station where the grand opening of the Sankara Resort is celebrating. Two sisters, Purnima and Kambang, are seen visiting the resort. Nearby, some women are crying and shouting for their missing husbands, probably the workers who went to build those tunnels but never returned. A conductor named Sadiq welcomes everyone aboard the Sankara train, a special tourism train headed to the resort. He announces that the journey will take 7 hours and they'll reach the resort by 7 p.m. As the train starts, we see Dato's wife, Ramla, also traveling on the same train. She gets shocked when she sees Dato inside. She quickly runs to the place where she saw him, but he isn't there. Then she spots him again in the cafe coach, but when she gets there, he's gone again. When she asks the staff about the man in a worker's uniform, they say no such person is on board. Soon, Ramla notices Santoso, the resort owner. When she tries to approach him, the staff stop her, saying economy class passengers aren't allowed there. Santoso talks to Bara about a protest at the station earlier. Bara explains that locals were protesting because some railway employees were fired. Santoso says he doesn't want to think about it, but worries the incident might embarrass them in front of investors. Meanwhile, Kambang notices a crow flying alongside the train, which suddenly crashes into the window. She tells Purnima, who starts to feel uneasy and goes to the washroom. The restroom in her coach is occupied, so she walks to another coach. Purnima starts vomiting, and suddenly Paimon's ghost appears in the mirror. The train enters its first tunnel. When Purnima doesn't return for a long time, Kambang goes to look for her. The lights start to flicker. A small girl sees another girl in the coach who suddenly turns demonic. Frightened, she screams and falls down. The train comes out of the tunnel, and Kambang finally finds Purnima. She tells her that she was worried and notices that Purnima has vomited. Kambang says they should see a doctor as soon as they reach the resort. Purnima suddenly notices something strange, and both sisters are shocked. The coach they were just in has completely disappeared. They meet Tekun and tell him that the fifth coach is missing. Tekun is shocked too and doesn't understand what happened. He quickly closes the doors. A man goes to use the washroom and realizes that one coach is gone. He tells everyone, and panic spreads in the train. Tekun tries to calm everyone down. He explains that it's just a small technical problem and everything is fine now. He says the missing coach was left behind in the tunnel and will follow them soon to the resort. Purnima goes to the washroom again. While Kambang waits, she receives a call from Dr. Nugraha, who says that Purnima hasn't answered his calls for a week. He adds that her liver cancer surgery was unsuccessful and she urgently needs a checkup. When Purnima returns, Kambang tells her about the call and asked why she didn't tell her the truth. She says she could have stayed with her and helped, but Purnima lied to her. She explains that she just wanted to spend some peaceful time with her sister. She was afraid that if she told Kambang the truth, she would cancel the trip. Kambang insists they could have spent time together even in the hospital. Purnima asks, "Do you really want me to spend my remaining time in a hospital?" She says she's tired of all the medicines and wants to enjoy her last days with beautiful scenery, not hospital walls. Kambang cries and says there are still treatments they haven't tried, and if Purnima dies, she'll have to live with their father, who doesn't care about them. She says Purnima is all she has left, and begs her not to leave. Meanwhile,
Tekun notices some strange liquid on the train's electrical panel. When he turns around, he sees the ghosts of dead workers, covered in blood, who suddenly vanish. He looks again, and they reappear, then disappear once more. Sadiq arrives, and Tekun tells him what he saw, but Sadiq doesn't believe him. He says the driver's radio short-circuited, so they can't contact the control center. When Sadiq asks about the electric panel, Tekun explains that he came to contact emergency services, but everything is malfunctioning. He also tells him about the missing fifth coach, which shocks Sadiq. Sadiq says it's impossible. Detaching a coach requires a special procedure. But when Tekun insists, Sadiq warns him that Santoso, the resort owner, must not know about this until they find the real cause.
The movie is taking their journey through the tunnel to the resort. Sadiq tells Tekun to handle the economy class passengers from the fourth coach properly. Tekun goes to Purnima and Kambang and assures them it's just a small technical issue. He says the staff at the departure station are already fixing it, and their luggage will be sent directly to the resort. Purnima asks about the passengers who were in the missing coach, and Tekun replies that they will reach the resort soon. As the train enters the second tunnel, Tekun informs them that they'll be shifted to the fourth economy coach. He also tells them they'll get bonus points to use on their next trip. Meanwhile, in the VIP coach, passengers hear a strange, creepy laughter that frightens them, but it turns out to be just a woman laughing at something on her phone. In the fourth coach, a group of friends are enjoying their trip when suddenly one man starts choking. Moments later, two more people begin choking too. Everyone panics and tries to give them water, but one of the choking men suddenly says, "We are all going to die," and collapses. A girl from the group cries out that they can't escape the punishment that's coming for them. Another man asks how could they all be so greedy, while a woman says the time has come and no one will survive this disaster. Then they all hear the same terrifying laughter again. A man named Adam looks through his camera and sees a dark entity inside their coach. At first, only he can see it, but soon everyone sees it clearly, and they all scream in fear. The entity rushes toward Adam and kills him. Kambang, who witnesses this from another coach, screams. Suddenly, the entire fourth coach disconnects from the train. When Purnima and Tekun hear Kambang's screams and rush over, they're shocked. The whole coach has vanished. Kambang tells Purnima that she saw the passengers being trapped by something non-human, and now she wants to leave immediately. Hearing the noise, Bara and Santoso come out to check what happened. Santoso notices something missing and looks shocked. He asks Bara if he knows anything about it, but Bara stays silent. Santoso then asks Tekun what happened. Tekun says he has no idea. Ramla speaks up, saying that one missing coach could be a coincidence, but two missing coaches means it's a warning. She insists it's not a technical problem, but something beyond their control. Bara dismisses her, saying that if people think too superstitiously, their area will never develop. But Kambang interrupts, saying she saw it with her own eyes. All the passengers gathered in the center, and creatures surrounded them. Bara ignores her too, and tells Santoso that the coaches were probably just left behind in the tunnels. Santoso asks Tekun if he contacted the control center. Tekun replies that the conductor is still in communication with them. Bara suggests they move to the cabin to check things. Santoso agrees and tells him to go ahead. When Bara leaves, Santoso quietly pulls Tekun aside and warns him that before any horrible stories reach the press, they must find the missing fourth coach. Tekun explains that their radio and antenna are down. Meanwhile, Bara notices something shocking on a chair, a dead mouse. Before anyone else can see it, he quickly cleans it up and rushes to Sadiq, informing him about the missing coaches. Sadiq says he was just about to report it too. Bara instructs him to contact the control center, but Sadiq explains that all communication devices are malfunctioning. Bara insists they must reach the resort station as soon as possible and send a rescue team for the missing coach passengers. He suggests offering VIP class services to the passengers and having them sign agreements not to sue the company. Sadiq then shows Bara the CCTV footage from the fifth coach, which shockingly reveals the demons are real. Horrified, Bara orders him to delete the footage immediately and assures that his police department contacts will handle the matter.
He mentions a woman who knows about these demons and instructs Sadik not to let the passengers panic. Sadik then goes to Santoso, telling him to return to the VIP cabin. Santoso apologizes to the passengers, offering them VIP facilities to compensate for the inconvenience, but Sadik tells him the VIP cabin is already full. Santoso says Taken will make sure they're served well. As Santoso is about to leave, Ramla stops him and shares that her husband, who helped build the Sankara Railway, never came home. Santoso replies that he handed the matter over to Bara and doesn't know what really happened, not even about her husband. Later, Purnima confronts Taken, accusing him of lying about the missing coaches. She demands to know the truth. Taken insists he genuinely doesn't know what's happening or if they'll even get help. Purnima says he should have explained earlier, but he replies he was only following orders. Suddenly, Purnima feels sick and rushes toward the washroom. Meanwhile, 3 women from the VIP coach complain to Taken about transferring other passengers there. As Purnima vomits, the train enters the 3rd tunnel. Santoso instructs the crew to attend to the customers and serve them. Susie asks to join him, saying she's scared to be alone, but he refuses, worried that her condition might attract unwanted attention. Moments later, a horrifying scream echoes from the pantry coach. Santoso and the others rush in, only to find the entire coach destroyed. Suddenly, they hear a deep demonic growl. Terrified, they see a monstrous entity sitting there. Santoso quietly signals everyone to leave the coach and stay silent. He orders them to move immediately to the 2nd coach. But as they try to leave, their bodies stiffen and they realize they're surrounded by demonic entities. In an attempt to save herself, one passenger faints, drawing the demon's attention toward her.
The demon advances toward Maya. In panic, she grabs a knife and warns it to stay back, but the demonic force takes control of her hand and forces her to slit her own throat. The passengers scream in horror. The same demonic entity reappears, and chaos erupts as everyone tries to escape. In the panic, one man is brutally killed, his head crushed by the demon. Purnima, terrified by what she's witnessing, cries out for Tekken and begs him to open the door. He desperately tries to help, but the door won't budge. Right before their eyes, the coach detaches from the train and disappears into the tunnel's darkness. They all rush toward the 2nd coach. One man shouts, asking how the 3rd coach vanished. Purnima says there's no time to explain. Tekken tells Sadiq they must stop the train before entering the 4th tunnel, otherwise the 2nd coach will vanish too. Just then, Bara arrives, saying he had always suspected those 3 economy-class passengers. He accuses them of being involved, claiming their plan is to eliminate the lower-class coaches one by one and then rob the VIP passengers after isolating them. Purnima protests, asking how they could rob anyone without weapons. Bara retorts that if they can disconnect train coaches, they might be capable of anything. A man named Chris declares he won't let them steal from anyone. Ramla points toward the approaching 4th tunnel and urges everyone to move to the next coach before they all die. But Chris suddenly attacks her. Bara returns to the VIP cabin, calming the frightened passengers. He assures them the chaos in the previous coach will not reach them here. Meanwhile, Purnima, Bara, and Kambang fight against Chris. During the struggle, Purnima accidentally hits him with a bottle, killing him instantly. The other passengers are horrified and accuse her of murder. They seize the group, but Purnima warns them to let go or they'll all die. The 4 somehow break free and escape the coach. Sadiq had locked the VIP cabin, so they smash the glass to enter, but the other passengers arrive and block their way. Tekken tries to explain that they must move to the 1st coach immediately because each time the train enters a tunnel, the demons reappear. The train enters the tunnel once again, and instead of listening, the passengers start beating Tekken. Before they can kill him, a horrifying scream stops everyone in their tracks. They turn and freeze in terror. The demonic entity is now inside the 2nd coach. Using the chaos to his advantage, Tekken escapes to the 1st coach. The entity begins killing the passengers one by one. Sadiq quickly opens the door for Tekken and the others to enter the 1st coach. And then once again, the 2nd coach detaches, left behind in the tunnel. Bara grabs the keys from Sadiq, saying he'll stop the train. But when he enters the driver's compartment, he orders the driver to increase the speed. Outside, Sadiq informs the others that
They plan to stop the train and fix everything, but when they realize the train is gaining speed, they rush toward the driver's compartment. Siddiq orders the driver to open the door. As soon as the driver opens it, Siddiq instructs him to slow down and stop the train. Bara tries to stop him, But during the struggle, he kicks Tekun out of the train, causing Tekun's death. The driver then applies the brakes, and the train finally stops in a forest, directly in front of the tunnel. After this, Bara is tied up inside the train. Bara says that if the first coach had disappeared into the fifth tunnel, he and the driver would have quickly reached the resort and sent help to evacuate everyone, but no one trusts him. An investor asks how they can reach the resort station without the train. Purnima replies that the resort station is not far. They can reach it by going through the forest. Meanwhile, Ramla asks Bara about her husband, but he says he doesn't know. She explains to the investors that her husband worked for them and never complained, and she reveals that the women at the station were looking for their husbands and brothers. Siddiq confirms to Bara that everyone is suffering as a result of his actions. In a flashback, we see that Bara, driven by greed, wanted to route the railway line through the forest. A local shaman named Rahmat advised him against it, warning him that the forest is not ordinary. It is inhabited by entities that do not fear any faith, ritual, or sacrifice. Siddiq reveals that Bara deliberately assigned him to this train to keep his secret hidden. Everyone exits the train, and Kambong reminds them to navigate carefully around the tunnel area. Suddenly, a terrifying scream is heard, and they see a demon emerging from the tunnel. Two people are dragged one by one into the bushes, causing everyone to panic. The demon has now come out of the tunnel. Demons are appearing not because of the tunnel itself, but because of the darkness. Inside the train, Bara sees that an investor is still inside, possessed by a demon. She asks him why he destroyed her forest, saying humans were wrongly placed by God on Earth. Trembling in fear, Bara apologizes, but the demon reveals its true form and moves toward him to kill him. At the same time, Siddiq finds himself surrounded by demons and is killed. On the other side, the demons possess Purnima. Later, it is revealed that the demons have turned all the passengers into trees, but Purnima and Kambong are not yet fully transformed. Kambong, with tears in her eyes, expresses her wish to go home, but before she can do anything else, she slowly transforms into a tree in front of Purnima's eyes. Purnima watches helplessly, but somehow she manages to free herself.
Purnima confronts the demons once again. Helpless, she begs the demons to take her instead of her sister, but the demons only smile and then vanish. Purnima is left alone. After a short while, all the tunnels collapse and are sealed. 6 months later, we see Purnima with Rahmat. She asks why the demons didn't kill Bara earlier. Rahmat explains that Bara's death wouldn't have stopped them because more like him could still appear. Purnima then asks why she is still alive. Rahmat replies that humans are seen by the demons as nothing more than soil, and she is like infertile soil to them. The film ends here.